Welcome to Self Reality, where we like to talk about reality TV and a little bit maybe about ourselves and how we react as people to reality TV. I'm your host, Angie Hanlon, and today I'm here to talk about Survivor, Season 47, Episode 7. 747, baby. Let's get into it. So this week is what I would call the true merging of the three tribes. Last week was sort of a pre-merge. I believe they all got their buffs at the end after Rome got voted out, so he did not make the jury. Wah wah. He was a little too arrogant. I think he was doing well, but he didn't suss out the crowd enough, I feel. So he was like out the door, and now we've got 12 folks left from all the tribes, and they've got their purple buffs. So first we'll talk about the aftermath. It was like a landslide vote for Rome, but there were 3 aberrant votes. 2 went to Andy, 1 went to Sam. I think the one to Sam was probably from Rome, if memory serves, and then the rest went to Rome. But I thought Andy, considering some of his past sort of volatility and paranoia, I thought he might spin out, but I have to tell you, he did not. He was kind of calm. He was thinking things through, and interestingly enough, Saul admitted to him that he had voted through a vote to him. I'm not sure I understand that strategy. I don't think, unless I really want to work with Andy, that I would use that strategy. But I just don't get that strategy, and I typically like Saul, and I like his sort of calm demeanor, but I don't know that I would have said anything, considering how Andy can be. But he told him, he basically said, hey man, I thought Rome would have an idol or have something, and I thought he'd throw my name down, so I wanted to throw someone else's name down just in case. And then, Andy in his interviews like, yeah, except that means you want me out, because there were other people's names he could have put down. Lots and lots and lots of other names. So interesting. So Andy said that he wants protection in an alliance to Saul, and Saul said absolutely. So then they kind of fast forward to, that same night, Andy's like tossing and turning, and I have to say, I relate to that. Like, whenever I go anywhere, like, hotel overnight or whatever, first night I'm anxious, and sometimes more nights than that. The fact that they're in the middle of, like, Fiji, there's bugs and creepy crawlies, you're sleeping on like the most uncomfortable bamboo, and with a bunch of people snoring and whatever, you're hungry, like, sleep would be hard. And it would, when I would see him getting up or tossing and turning, it actually sort of almost triggers sort of an anxiety response. I'm like, oh my God, I almost couldn't do it just for that alone. And many other reasons, including not being super in shape, but that's another thing for another show or another chat. But essentially, while he's up, so probably early wee hours of the morning, Jen gets up and talks to him, because let's remember, Jen lost her number 1. Andy doesn't have a number 1. And so maybe this would be a good alliance right here. So stay tuned for that. I'm curious to see. I think Jen is very, very strategic. I think she's willing and ready to make some big moves. Andy is starting to show that strategic side he talked about in between sort of breakdowns. So, I hope that Andy is able to sort of maintain that and sort of play that card, play that sort of, oh, I'm an outcast, oh, nobody likes me card. Because it's not a bad strategy, because people are not threatened by someone like that. They think, oh, well, he's a number. So let's see how that goes. Then, the other thing at camp before we get to the challenge, which is pretty early in the episode, is 4 of the women, Teenie, Rachel, Tiana, and Sierra, talk about having a women's alliance. And I say it like this not because I'm pro a women's alliance. I feel like there's more women left at this point, and it would be intelligent and a good strategy for them to band together and just boom, 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 get them all off. It never works. It never works. I shouldn't say never. It rarely works. I'll have to do some old-timey research and see how many times it worked. I think once or twice. There's always going to be a better offer. It's always going to be, well, you're number 5 with the 5 girls. They jump ship, and sometimes for very good reason, to be honest, right? Like I get it, but I think at this point it would be really smart to just all the women get together and get the men off one by one, because they have more numbers. They just do. I mean, that's not to account for all of the other things that might come into play, like immunity idols and advantages, but still, I mean, you got the numbers. But anyway, let's see. Oh, and the other sort of notable thing in that was that Tiana again threw Gabe's name out. So let's see how that all goes. Now we're at the challenge, and guess what, people? It's not a 20-step challenge. It's simply endurance. You stand on a post that gets smaller and smaller, so it's harder to balance yourself. And then you basically are holding some sort of like long 12 to 14 foot pole with like a little, just like a small disc on it that a ball with a little bit of a lip, so the ball has to stay on it. You have to keep the ball up as long as you can. And then it's actually like a moving, like when you have to move, they don't let you take the ball, like you have to move with the ball and the ball can't fall. That was a poem. Anyway, so I was excited. I'm like, oh, thank God, finally endurance. I find endurance challenges are great levelers. It's not about just brute strength, or if you can swim or lift heavy things, it's endurance. So I would, the endurance challenges and also just like to be the puzzle person at the end would be my choices for challenges, because I'm not super, I don't have great cardio. I'm not super athletic in shape, all that stuff. So I would really, really, really have to train to go on Survivor. And even then, I don't know. These guys, there's a lot of, I'm old, like I'm older, although not as old as Sue. So the twist on this, though, the twist is that they are doing a team challenge. So they have to draw rocks. It's split up 6 and 6. And the team that wins, everybody's immune. And then the last person standing on the losing team gets individual immunity. So I don't think I've ever seen them introduce individual immunity this way. So I think that is very interesting. And I like it. But the other twist is that the 6 who win don't get to vote. So you only have a very, very small pool of people, not only to vote, like to put up to nominate, and then, or not nominate, what is this, Big Brother? A small pool of people to vote for. Oh my goodness. You have only 5 people to choose from at the end of this. And only the 5 of them, I think, get to vote, or 6. Can't remember. Anyway, the teams, so they pull the rocks. The teams are essentially, one team has Rachel and all of Tuku's remaining tribe. So it's Rachel, Gabe, Kyle, Sue, Carolyn, and Tiana. You could see her face fall. Like, what a horrible, horrible pull for her. If they lose, of course they're all going to vote for her. Although, you could argue that, oh, well, they're going to make a move. They're not going to make a move. Come on, people. And then or maybe they, I don't know. Anyway, on the other tribe, you have 3 Gatto, 3 Lavo. So pretty evenly split. That would be an interesting vote, right? Because you got 3 and 3. So you have Jen, Sam, Andy, Salsier, and Teeny. But unfortunately for Rachel, their team loses. So, the other thing is the winning team gets a meal as well. So essentially the losing team, Rachel and Tuku, we'll call them, they go to the sad old Lavo Beach, which they have sad music for. And I do feel bad for Rachel because that would just be awful. And then the rest of them, they show them eating and bonding and getting drunk. I think it was beer. I feel like it was beer and ribs or something like that. And they all had a good chow up. Well, because before they did the obligatory, let's all vote together next time, which no one ever does, I don't think. Again, please feel free to correct me where I'm wrong. I'm going on my old memory. But I don't think I've ever seen it where they're all kind of crashed out around the food at the end of it. So that was kind of funny to me. And then you see, at the Lavo Beach, you have like the sad music playing, and then they kind of cut it so it looks like, people are trying to basically get Rachel to not use her shot in the dark. So Gabe says, let's vote for Rachel, Tuku strong, yada, yada. Of course, right? Put all your votes on her. We'll re-vote if needed. Whatever, right? If she has an idol or something, which is true, right? Because there's all 5 of them. If there's all 5 of them putting it down, you're all good. So Tiana and Kyle talk. Tiana says she knows they're in danger. Okay, when she talks to Kyle, she's like, we're in danger. There's 5 of us. They're going to want to like take us off one by one because there's so many of us, yada, yada. And suggest Gabe. And then you have Tiana telling Rachel that she wants Gabe out. Of course, Rachel's excited, but they're going to need to pull Caroline. And Caroline has been the most adamant at staying Tuku strong. And to her credit, I would be on her side. Like, there's 5 of us, guys. Let's just do the easy vote. Let's get her out. She's very lovely, but let's get her out. But, again, it's the edit. They're kind of showing us like, oh, maybe someone else will get voted out. So it's not a super boring immunity or super boring tribal. They cut back to the folks eating. You got Saul drunk. He can't sleep. He's all hopped up on all the food and the beer. And guess what? Even drunk, he finds himself an advantage. Oh, my goodness. And the advantage is super interesting. And I have a sneaky suspicion that this was put in later after like that group lost the challenge, because obviously there's very, very limited ability for Rachel to not get voted out. So I feel as though this advantage, and I'm going to tell you in a second, was added in for that reason. So the advantage is you have a choice. You can tell someone, like you can send someone who is on the losing team the ability to basically walk out of tribal. So the losing person can, before the vote, walk out of tribal, and they have no power, but they can't be voted out either. Or you can give somebody the ability to block someone's vote, I think, and take them. That's exciting. To be continued. Let's see what Saul does. Of course, as I'm watching, I'm hoping, just for pure television and pure interest sake, I'm hoping that Saul gives Rachel the ability to walk off. Because now, if he does that, we've got ourselves a tribal. So back at the old Lavo, you have Tiana and Caroline talking. So she brings up Gabe. And her argument is, well, there's 5 of us, and it's, it makes us more dangerous, and they're all going to pick them up. Listen, whether you vote out Rachel or you vote out one of your own, they're going to be picking you guys off. Everyone's picking off everybody. So I don't think it's a strong argument. I think Caroline is like, well, no, let's make it through this, and then let's talk. So Gabe talks to Rachel. He puts Caroline's name forward as an option. And again, this is all just to get her not to use a shot in the dark, because, if she uses it, like, that's the only thing they're thinking that she has. Let's go to tribal. So tribal is essentially Jeff asking the same question over and over and over again. Essentially saying, summing up that it's Tuku versus Rachel, and Tuku, you can go together and just vote Rachel, and that would be, logical and make sense. But, you could do a thing, and you could change things up, and you can make it more interesting. And, like, legitimately, I think halfway through trial, I was like, can we stop having the exact same conversation? Because I am so bored. Like, it was just essentially, I think it was trying to build some interest and drama, because I'm going to tell you, guess what Saul did? Like, guess who he gave that advantage to? He gave it to Rachel. I was so excited. So I guess they go and like, okay, time to vote. And Rachel, like, really nervous, pulls out the advantage. She's like, well, 10 minutes ago, someone gave this to me. And like, already everybody's faces are just like, so first of all, the reaction of Tuku, clearly no one ever had any intention whatsoever to consider not voting Rachel out. Okay, so again, arrogance kills, as Nick says, or confidence. I don't think it's confidence. I think it's overconfidence and or arrogance that kills. So they are just shocked, surprised. They cannot believe what happened. So Rachel leaves. Everyone's like, what is happening? And then finally, everyone starts getting up and talking to each other. And I love a good tribal where everyone is chaotic and talking and walking around. And it's like, woo. And they have a whole audience, the 6 people who don't get to vote. So it's super interesting. Because what I said after that, I'm like, now what? Like, what are they going to do? They had absolutely no plans to get rid of anybody, right? So it was crazy. Essentially, based on the conversations in the edit, it sounds like it's going to be Gabe or Tiana, which makes sense because Tiana has been gunning for Gabe forever and Gabe vice versa. So they are not for each other. And in the end, Tiana gets voted out. And let me tell you, I felt her feelings. Like, she was demolished, devastated, like heartbroken. It was heart-wrenching for a moment, like, really, because she was just so beside herself. But like, even when she, like, Jeff snuffs out her torch, and then as she starts walking back, like, before she even, like, usually when they're crying, it's not until like they're in whatever that little spot is. But she starts bawling as she's leaving. Like, it really twinged at my heartstrings. But then at the end, I think, she was ready to do that to Gabe and anyone else. Like, it's a game. It's what the game is. But I think for me, that would actually probably be the hardest part, is the relationships and the backstabbing and the lying. Like, I think I would struggle with that. And especially when you're voting someone out and it's such a surprise to them and they're so heartbroken, like, that would twinge a bit. But then again, you got to just say, hey, it's a game. I want $1 million. Let's keep going. My family and friends are at home. These are just people I've known for, like, at this point, like 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, whatever. So that's the episode. Looking forward to the real true merge to see the aftermath. What is Rachel going to do? Like, is this going to prevent Rachel from working with Tuku, or like, is Tuku going to just all break down at this point? What about the Andy Jen alliance? What's Sam going to do? His name was thrown out. I don't think he played a heavy role in this episode, if memories, like, it's not sticking out to me. So good episode. There were some slow parts, but if I had to rate it out of 5, I'd give it probably, I don't know, like a 3.8. Yeah, 3.8. It was good. It was interesting. There was some intrigue. There are some slow spots, but I really did dig the sort of twists and turns that they took, with the 6 and 6. Oh, and the other thing is, Tiana does not make the jury, which was also very surprising to me. So I'm wondering what impacts that's going to have as well. So, as always, thank you for watching. Hopefully Nick's back for the next episode, but either way, I'm going to continue to talk about it and watch it and share my thoughts with all of you. If you're enjoying the content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. And thank you all, as always, for watching. Until next time.